We are following now the latest developments in the battle for eastern Aleppo, as Syrian rebels there say that a truce is being worked out with the Syrian government. Again, this comes as the United Nations says that more than 80 civilians were killed recently. Some reports say that people, in fact, are being executed in plain sight on the streets. Civilians caught in the violence, meanwhile, are collectively pleading for help. USA Today correspondent Kiran Nazish is following the latest and joins us now via Skype from Istanbul, Turkey. And Kiran, right now, as we see these stories of people trapped in the last remaining free portions, specifically of the eastern part of Aleppo, what is the reality of the possibility of escape?
That's a very good question. I think I would say from talking to a lot of sources that I've been in touch with in the last few days, I feel like everyone who I am in touch with at least says that there's very little possibility for them to get out. In fact, some of them who have tried to leave the buildings that they have been hiding inside are also telling that there have been executions that have taken place outside of their buildings, which they have witnessed. So they're literally, like most people that I know, are hiding inside of buildings, out of sight, as long as they can.
We had heard reports that medical care in the eastern part of the city was all but non-existent. In fact, I want to read the quote of Abdullah Salim, a doctor whom you interviewed, who said this, and I quote, "They are killing everyone. My friends were doctors, providing the only possible medical care to the injured. Now they are butchered. Everyone is dying. I will soon die too." What is it for those who are trapped, knowing that this seems to be falling collectively on so many deaf ears?
Yeah, I mean, I would also talk about Abdullah, who himself is a doctor, and he had to leave his profession, and he saw his friends. One of the things, another thing that he consistently said, that we were the people who were first trying to save people who were getting injured and killed, and now when he saw his friends dying online, he was quite stunned. I would say that most of the people who have been able to send their messages until a few hours ago, we are not hearing a lot of details from the ground, and a lot of sources have sort of kind of stopped responding, and we don't know the reason why they have. Have they been bombed possibly, or are hiding themselves, or do not have any more connection to communicate. But one of the things that or I guess like you were hearing a lot was like, people were talking about until yesterday that Aleppo is falling, and then the resolve became more like, people were saying, stand with Aleppo. They do want to desperately send their message out in the world. They're also sending a lot of pleas to the international community, asking people to come out outside of embassies to protest and try to pressure the government to stop. People, there are 100,000 people who are still who can be taken out according to the UN. So I guess any sources that are inside of Aleppo who have communicated, they have said this again and again, that the international community should help. Anything that they can do.
The UN did say that it had reports that seemingly become available by the day, of 82 civilians killed, including 13 children. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon did say that they could not be independently verified by the UN. But what can you tell us?
I mean, I think that, of course, in the sense that, I don't know what to say about, I guess one thing that I would say from the people I've spoken to on the ground, they're quite, they have sort of lost hope with, how the UN has been able to do all that. I think a lot of people, if you talk to civilians who are literally taken out of their homes and their streets, there are reports also of, children been killed inside of their homes. I guess most people have kind of lost their hope. With the UN, they're very critical of the UN as well, and they don't. know if the UN can intervene when the UN has been waiting. I mean, I guess there's also this disgruntled sentiment that the UN was waiting for, Russia and Syria to go ahead, like there were these bureaucratic processes that they were waiting for. So, I don't think civilians necessarily understand that. All they really look for from the UN is some sort of help that they don't think they can get otherwise.
But they also understand exactly what Russia's involvement in this crisis has meant. Bashar al-Assad, in fact, said, meanwhile, dominating the headlines here, he called Donald Trump, the president-elect, a natural ally. Obviously, the apparent coziness between Donald Trump's transition team and Russia has been certainly discussed in days recent here. What has Russian support meant for al-Assad's forces there?
For al-Assad sources, yes. I mean, of course, I guess like it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to civilians, people are disgruntled and they do not support, Russia's involvement because they also believe that Russia's involvement has accelerated this for them. But if you speak to Assad forces, of course, there have been a lot of jubilation, and if you see a lot of reports that are coming up from the ground, there are a lot of, if you follow Twitter, and it's also on Twitter as well, as there have been videos that have been released by Assad supporters who really have enjoyed and supported what that Assad support means on the ground for them, because it has really benefited them.
Do the rebel forces, again, in the eastern part of Aleppo, do they believe that the U.S. is coming?
They have. So, I think over the long period of how, that since they have been fighting, they have learned a lot of lessons. So, I guess like a while ago, if you would ask them, they would always believe in like some sort of help, that U.S. help would benefit in some way. There is this certain disgruntlement and sort of hopelessness, when you talk to them about, U.S. coming and trying to help. However, they always do say that U.S. should come and help. Like, even when they're critical of the U.S. or they don't believe it is going to help, there's a mixed message that is going on. On one side, they would say, come and help Aleppo, for example, and then on the other side, they say, if you cannot come, please remember us. And I guess in these statements, it sort of reflects that, when they say that, the U.S. should help and intervene, they know that even if it can't, we just want to be remembered. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Her piece is available on usatoday.com. It is an essential and heartbreaking look at the incalculable human toll being drawn in Aleppo. Kiran Nazish there in Istanbul, very much appreciate your time and insight.
Thank you.